I feel.
Oh, the world. It's
We're
the
just gonna
end of
start
the
recording this
cycle.
podcast mid-card full.
Welcome to the inner workings of our team.
We always say that we're going to do that. Just start going.
So that's exactly what I just did. Sorry, Amanda, for the editing of this.
I love pulling this way. You're just like asking questions and you're like, whatever card comes to the bottom. Ooh.
There was an arm out that was just us being barely above water. There was a little shack that was my next house. It looks like is that a burning bridge?
Yes, this is a burning building, the tower.
The tower. Yes. Yeah. Burning tower,
death.
you know.
It's like a death card, basically.
Let's just say,
right.
Wow. How many times has this come?
That card.
That card of
Ace of
journey,
Swords.
taking an actual journey. It can be figurative, but in this case, we feel it's pretty literal. So maybe we should just start there, Cass.
I feel like all I've been doing is an actual journey, Jade, for the past 17 months.
And there's more coming. Remember the first time we went to a psychic and she was like, Cass, pack your bags, Cass. She just kept saying that.
My bags haven't been unpacked, Jade.
I know.
They said bags are still packed.
Actually, yeah, they actually are. I unzipped it just to like get a couple things out, but I have not even started a load of laundry since I've been home yesterday.
Makes sense.
I literally got home, walked up the stairs, did not like even bring my bags out from the car, turned on the Uller to like heat my bed up and went to sleep. And Tom was like watching me. He's like, you don't take naps. I was like, I'm so tired. So
it's not a nap, it's a sleep when you haven't slept yet.
Correct. I took a 2-hour nap and then did the whole thing with children because I couldn't just be like, okay, it's time to go to bed at 2 p.m. Not how things work.
That'll really mess you up for the
correct.
foreseeable
I forced
future.
myself to stay up last night till 9:45. So I woke up at 6 again this morning and I'm like almost back on schedule, but Camel Hump is still depleted.
No, I think I'm amazed. I think you're like, yeah, made dinner. Yeah, I got up this morning, got Diane on the bus. Oh, you went to the pool last night. You went to the gym this morning. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like something that would be fun that I could do family oriented that was like little to no brain power.
The pool is a good option.
The pool is a great option.
Especially after like sitting on the plane and like traveling and stuff. But yeah. I didn't even tell you guys I almost missed my flight.
We need the story. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
So I was in one airport lounge and it was too loud and there were too many people and I still can't hear out of my right ear and there's some ringing. So I was like, okay, like I need to which gets amplified when I'm around sound. So it's like, let me go to another lounge. So I went to the American lounge versus the Amex lounge and there was no one there. So I found like a quiet little corner and like made myself a little nook and like literally passed out. Like head in chest, like completely dead. And what's funny is I almost set my alarm. Like, there's gonna be no way in hell I can fall asleep in public in the middle of an airport lounge. Like, this is just not me. Passed out, got 3 phone calls, missed 2 of them, but it was like being like, hey, are you gonna be on this flight? You're like checked in. And then
Those
literally
were the phone calls.
Got 3 phone calls, missed the first 2. The third one actually woke me up. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I had to like book it across the airport. They had already locked the door, which they're not supposed to unlock. But they asked for permission from the pilot or whatever. And he's like, yeah, she's been traveling since 11:30 on Pacific on the other side. So he's like, let her on. So they let me on.
Yes. Wow. That's not just like I've had almost missed my flight stories. That one takes the cake.
Yeah, no, I like literally like she like scanned my boarding
pass. That tracks. I could see you almost miss flights
all the time.
I've never like I don't even come close to missing a flight. Like even if there's like
Jade, how many flights have you actually missed though? I'm just curious.
None, but I don't fly that often. I mean,
it could never be. And I had a 3-hour layover, so there's like no logical sense as to why I would have like missed it. So, but he was like,
you were shooting the shit, killing time for the majority of those 3 hours, and then of course you fall asleep. Like, fuck.
Exactly. Well, when I was talking to you, there was like sun in my face, so I'm like, I'm gonna go find a nook, like a corner little nook to just like, and did not. And I was like, do I set my alarm? I'm like, no. Who falls asleep in an airport lounge? That's dumb. I'm cold. So like, thank God they called me 3 times, but it was like 10:20, 10:22, and then 10:25. And the flight was supposed to like
Shit.
leave the airport like and take off at 10:40.
So does every airline call you that many times? Because that seems like above and beyond
I have no idea.
customer service.
I mean, I'm thankful to American Airlines.
Shout out to American Airlines.
I know.
Well, you were in their lounge, so
I was
you
in their
obviously
lounge.
they
I was
like
checked into-
feed, yeah, you were checked into their flights. They have tracking on like basically like where you've been, where you came from, where you're going. So I'm
And
sure
they know there's one flight from Philadelphia to Bangor per day. So if I missed it, it would have been tomorrow that I would have like it would have been like now when I'm flying out. Because I would have had to wait 24
yes.
hours. So I'm like, thank God I did not miss it. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is fun. Never ever have I done that. Now I can say I have.
Yeah. Well, there's good reason you were so tired. I think you should back up and kind of give an overview of your trip, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you
How
have
does
the
one
energy to
overview
do that?
when
know.
we last recorded, you were in LA
Yep.
Mhm.
and you were dealing with your ear and you had your drip and all the things. You had taken a visit to Corona.
Yep. So the ear is still a thing. I was actually, I think I'm gonna double dose on Claritin D today, Jade. You'll
Double
Yes,
down on the
baby.
D.
Double down.
double down the D. Because I still cannot hear. And it's interesting because it's not clogged. It's almost like slightly ringing. It's very strange. It's kind of nice because I can wear only one AirPod and not have to listen to anyone else. Because like even if someone's talking to me, I literally can't hear you.
I love the bright side. Good job.
There's a bright side. I hate AirPods.
Found it.
But so that was clogged throughout. So it's funny because like I really do enjoy listening to people and like listen to like when I'm listening to one conversation, I might also overhear something else. And this like forced me to basically tune into the one person I was listening to who had to be seated on my left-hand side. Because there is like nothing coming out of that right ear. So it's like that was just a really interesting dynamic. Because I feel like in events, I'm less present, if that makes sense. And like I'm still present with the person, but I'm listening else for like what else is going on around me. And this was like a forced presence embodiment. So I'm like, now you can be done though, because like we're going on 10 days of not being able to hear, which is exciting. But I did probably about 30 hours of networking in 2 days. So if you do the math on that, I networked more than I slept. That is the best way to say that.
Yeah. And it's going to take you days, weeks to follow back up with all of those connections.
Yeah. And there's so much. I mean,
how do you keep them all straight? Did you say there's like 80 of them?
Yeah. So I have a lot of new text message friends. Because versus like getting in, and I get a ton of email. Tom, every time he looks at my email account, he's like, this is just absurd. So I was like, let me use my phone and let me give like people my cell phone number. So we're texting buddies instead of like emailing, just because it seems easier. So I went through and like literally messaged everyone back, sent some people were asking for aligned links. Some people were asking for my calendar. Some people wanted to book a session with me. It was all over the place. So like I would basically make them text me their contact card. I would add them to my phone. And then I went through and just kind of messaged people throughout kind of yesterday and today, and still have some more people to message. So I know some of those conversations are coming back into the inbox now for email, but I don't know if I've ever added that many contacts to my phone in my life.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty interesting.
Good. It's the point. That was the whole point of the trip and all of the connections. Tell a few of your most favorite ones.
Oh goodness. Well, let me first start by saying this. Like, I feel like when I normally go to events, it'll be 500 people and I might find like 5 of my people. And like, you know, end up bonding with those 5, exchanging all the information with those 5. I mean, some of my closest friends are because of events. And it was like that one person at the event that we found each other and was like, new BFF. this was like that, but out of 100 people, probably 50 new BFFs. So a much higher ratio.
And that's because of the event, I
That's
think.
because of, yeah, I think that's because
For
of the
sure.
event of how they curate people and how they bring people
How
together.
they curate people, exactly.
And like even people that you don't think would be like your person or bonded to you. Like, for instance, I'm friends with a guy now who owns a mine up in Saskatchewan, or Saskatchewan. Saskatoon is the place where he's at. But he owns a mine. Did not think I would have anything remotely ever in common with a guy who owns a mine. Another electrical engineer, did not think I would have anything remotely in common with an electrical engineer. And like now these two guys are like text buddies of mine. And you know, they're forwarding some of my stuff around, and one of the guys is forwarding my pitch deck around to other friends. And just like, it's kind of mind-blowing because I feel like it made, well, we asked a question, gosh, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago when we first started the Aligned project, of like who benefits if people are like healthy, happy, and whole. And what's interesting is like we couldn't think of an answer. And we went through like, well, the healthcare system doesn't, like the medicine, like, you know, the medical system doesn't, this doesn't, like we kind of were digging through all that. And what's really funny is a lot of the people who were most interested in the project, like the Aligned project, have to do a lot with trades, like blue collar, get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, work. And I'm like, this is quite fascinating. Because like,
And what are kind of some of your conclusions as to why that would be?
I think their values are like, it's going to sound kind of like cliche and strange, but like American values are deeply embedded and like into that tier of people. And like, you know, they want to spend more time with their family. They want to be more connected. They want to be more present. Like they work their ass off, but it's just like a very interesting kind of like parallel that I was drawing that I didn't think of. And I didn't really connect. Like it was interesting because like same with like the mental health, like the people who like are the workers, if you will, like with physical labor, like a lot of that is mental, emotional, physical stress too. So like they get the mental health conversation, they get the embodiment conversation, they get the intentionality conversation. They get the fact that like it should be used as a tool versus you know, technology using us. Like they get the conversations I was having, and I was just like, oh shit.
That makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like that's something we really need to spend more time noodling and like come up with a tagline or a phrase for that, you know?
Yeah. It
So
was
I
just
think
interesting because I'm so used to pitching to like tech people and being in the tech
yeah,
space, innovative and AI and da 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 da, like all the buzzwords. Like I'm hanging out
exactly.
with that, but I'm like, this is, it's an interesting kind of like pivot point, if you will. And like some of the best conversations I had were like an electrical contractor. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, oh well, you know, I run power for the entire state of like Indiana. I was like, oh cool. Like seems like a big job. I don't even like know what to say to that. Like, at least if people are like, oh, I'm a project manager, I can, you know, dive in that conversation or whatever. I'm an entrepreneur, I can dive in that conversation. But I'm like, so what do you do?
Yeah, but again, going back to what a good job that event did at finding the people, the purpose and the reason for them wanting to be together is completely, quote, aligned with what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Like that to apply to that, to be in that at that gathering, you know, you kind of have to be on that page.
Trying to further the collective.
And it also, I said to one of the guys, first of all, his daughter's name was Cassandra, which I appreciated him telling me. He had like this beautiful story. I was telling you guys how he named his daughter, and he was, you know, overlooking the mountains, and he wasn't married yet, didn't have kids. And he's like, I really like the name Cassandra. And it like came to him, and like, that's his daughter's name. And he's like, what were you named after? I was like, the backup singer in the Allman Brothers band. I was like, but I'm gonna take your story, just like a great human being. I also made him call his daughter because he hadn't told her that story. And I was like, she's 21 years old or something like that. And I was like, you need to go call her now and you need to tell her what she's named after and that you had this whole vision and this connection with her name. I was like, you'll thank me later. So, where's I going with that story? I have no idea.
You're just sharing anecdotes.
Yeah, there was somewhere where I was headed with that. I don't remember.
It happens.
Camel hump. We were empty.
Yeah, I think you're like somebody yesterday was like, well, how much money is left? And I'm like, negative money. Oh, was that you, Kaylin? Was that
It was
us
me.
having that? Yeah.
Yes.
How much money is left? Negative money.
Negative money. Well, not anymore. But we did have negative money, and then we have positive money. So there you
Exactly. So I feel like your camel hump is negative money, right?
go. How much money is left?
What's funny
She
is
said negative money in her camel hump.
I don't foresee it increasing anytime soon, though.
Yes, it is. We have to make you.
Have you seen my schedule for tomorrow and Friday?
I have
Okay, cool.
actually. I went on. I'm like, damn, you just packed the rest of your week out.
There was one other
Happy
thing.
Good Friday to you, Cass.
Well, it's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Happy Good Friday. 3 shamanic clearings. Yes. And you get a good Friday. And you get a good Friday. No. I didn't even realize it was Good Friday. Actually, I told Kaylin yesterday. I was like, oh shit, Easter's coming up. I should probably like make sure the bunny has something for the girls. And she's like, oh shit, I need to do that too.
Even the Lord rested. So
Yeah. No rest for the weary, Jade.
Even the Lord rested. Yeah, every Sunday. How's that working?
Oh my goodness.
Weird to hear you say that, Jade, but okay.
I know. It just came out of nowhere. I felt I had to go with it.
Oh no.
Refer to Jade's cult episode if you're not
Correct.
attuned to why we find that ironic.
You know, when we first started hanging out with Jade and we got to know Jade's story, Cass made a comment to me about how we're basically going to ruin Jade. And she's either going to, she's going to go the opposite direction. Like, she's not going to be anti all the things forever. And I have heard this woman say more church Jesus speak in the last year than I heard her probably since you left the cult. Would you say?
Oh yeah, because as I've told you, every single one of those words was a super major trigger,
correct
panic,
yes. When you have
nausea.
Religious trauma. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very good sign that there's a lot of healing there, right? Because it just doesn't, for me to just say that just so cavalierly, even the Lord rested, that's not
that's not normal. That is not normal.
But the way I say it is totally different than when I would have said it. I would have been the Lord all serious about it. And I'm like, get your fucking shit together, Kath. Even the Lord rested.
Wow. We've come from the Lord doth rested to
get
together and rest.
That's my favorite kind of spirit talk, though.
Right.
Speaking of which, I was sitting at one of the talks at this event, and I sometimes am verbal. And I'll someone will talk and I'll be like, yeah, amen. And I'll snap or do I basically assume I'm turning a church sermon at, a regular talk. Well, there was a girl behind me who was doing the same thing, and you're clearly, we were meant to be bonded and put together. So I just thought that was really funny because I was like, oh, I'm not the only one who's yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That also is a tiny, just a little bit sorority with the snaps.
Oh, it is.
So,
and I'm okay with that.
It's sorority meets all your experiences, a little bit of church.
Sorority meets Southern Baptist.
Sorority. Yes, with a little hype man thrown in.
So.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew I was at the right place, because that was the first talk. And the person behind me was as equally as passionate. So.
When you feel it.
Correct. The good. Lord doth move us to snap, Jade. Every time I hear Jade do her voice, my head goes to Game of Thrones, though.
Yes.
Right.
My vision, Jade, of you during your church days, I should probably paint a
know.
picture of it, honestly, because it is so vivid. And she is just a different woman.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. Like there were always glimpses of me. Like I would put on that mask, right? And I would be very, very proper. But then it's like, I think I explained this already. It would be like this weird twitch where it's like I'd be like, then I'd just like totally be myself, and everyone around me in the church would be like, oh my goodness. And I'd be like, oh, sorry, I'm back. All right, carry on.
The devil doth take it over me for a split second. Oh my gosh, the glitch stuff is hysterical.
It's so good.
Like almost on a daily basis, it would be like, and then I'd just be myself. I couldn't help it.
I'm gonna have to start watching for people glitching and then ask if they're in cults.
Yeah,
Right?
seriously. I
Jade,
was
if
at the
it
bar
wouldn't-
on Sunday, and this woman walks in, cool looking woman with this pink mohawk, and she's like, I'm just gonna have a drink before I go to the play next door. She starts asking me these questions, and then suddenly I'm like, said cult, and she's like lights up like a Christmas tree, and she's like, do tell. She gets her phone out. I tell her the name of the cult leader. She starts Googling him, holds up the picture. She's like, oh, and I'm like, I know, right? And so she texts her husband and says it out loud as she's texting, the bartender was in a cult. I may not make it to the play. She was so excited. She's like, I'm a Scorpio. I want to know everything.
I understand.
Does she know
that
you're
she's
an
telling you that
astrologer
devil.
too?
No, we never got that far. It was
Oh.
really, really busy. I did not have time to sit and pontificate on
Did
said
she make it
cult.
to the
So
play?
she went to her play.
You should
But
just
things like that happen. People light up. They love to hear about the cult.
Jade, would Cass and I just like deeply offended you when you were in the cult? Like, would you have been so repulsed by the two of us?
No, not repulsed. I would have been
praying for our
scared.
salvation.
But I can't, yeah, like I would have been like, too bad on them. Like they don't know that they don't get to go to heaven because you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to choose the hard way. You got to choose hard. It has to be hard. But then I would have been like, it's funny because even when I would feel that way towards people, there would be the glitch thing that underneath would be like, really? Like, why? So it was kind of half-hearted. It's hard to
belong in a cult when you should make a book.
Yeah, I would say all the right things usually, but then when push came to shove, I'd be like, who cares? Like, I didn't understand why we were making such a big deal about everything. Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forever going to be reminded of Jade being like, Doc.
I think I'm just going to start doing that randomly in our conversations too.
He's having a glitch.
This weird ponytail really helps with that.
The ponytail really helps the glitch when you do it in flame.
Jay, did you dye your hair darker?
No.
It looks darker today.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's pulled up. And then when I got my hairs done the other day, I was like, I don't want to be don't put so many foils in it. I don't want to be too blonde. So he didn't.
Looks good.
Marty foils for $40 too, including in that?
No, but still super cheap. Like 120. He charged me 120.
Marty
he stays with the 90s prices.
Stays with the 90s prices.
Yeah.
All that cocaine.
I know. I told you what he said, right? I did blow once for 17 years.
My nose hurts every time you say that.
Speaking of, you've got a Stevie Nicks sweatshirt on.
I do.
It's funny because we had a conversation about that. Was it yesterday? 2 nights ago? I don't even know. 2 nights ago we talked about
my book reading for fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, actually, no, we're going to live out our legacy on tour.
That's right. That's what it is. And she said, good thing I just read Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, just her
autobiography. And I was like, yeah, except it's going to be a whole different kind of plant medicine that you're working with.
Very different.
Well, I like created a website for the well, I guess we'll give a sneak peek. We're gonna do
do that.
We're gonna do the Jade. Yeah. Preach.
Do that. Yes.
That's generally what I do, is for sake of example during conferences when people are talking on stage. So anyway, thanks, Jade. It came up with I came up with the Future of Connection tour, was kind of like downloaded through, of like talking about A, what's going on in society, B, where we're headed, how AI technology is going to play into that, how we can have authentic conversations, what vulnerability between people look like, basically all super fun, light topics. And
really? Yeah,
I think I have a list of 12 now, 14 places that we're going.
You added to the list of 11?
You added to our 11?
I did add to the 11.
There's
11's a pretty sweet number. I don't know.
Well, it was really cute.
That means we're gonna have to get up to 18.
Basically, we're doing a US tour. So I really do want a t-shirt that has our tour dates on back, just so we're clear.
I can absolutely design that and have that made. So
correct.
Yeah, that's a given.
But Jade was like, yeah, we'll do like one per month. And I was like, no, I'm thinking like 4 in 1 week. Like, it's cute that you think one per month.
Jade is like, Jade's limp noodle inside her is like, oh God, please don't.
If my manifesting generator picks up the stone out of that river, you won't. I'll be like right up there with you, and
she'll be like, "Can 22 more of these?"
And be dragging you with me. I just never know. I never know.
It'll pick a stone out of that river. I can already tell.
I think so too.
I think that is your river. I think you own that river, actually.
Yeah.
So
I swam in that river.
I think you've been trying to pick up stones out of that river for a few months now, and the river has not been flowing. So
yeah, right.
Well, I just opened the floodgates, baby. Boom. Speaking of religion, because apparently this topic is going to be a religious talk, this podcast. I showed it to Kaylin. Jade, I didn't show it to you because I thought it might trigger you. There's a song that keeps playing on the radio up here on like K-Love or whatever. And it's talking about building a boat if there's no rain. And I keep, every time it plays, I'll like send it to Kaylin. I'm like, look, still building the boat, still no rain, still building the boat, still no rain. And then I'm like, it's funny because like
I hear that song all the time, and I literally think of you every time. Like literally,
I think of like,
you guys listen to K-Love?
Yes.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
no, it comes on my mic. I don't listen to the radio. I listen to Spotify.
Got it.
But it was added to my Spotify list, and so now it just comes on. I'm like, oh,
comes up right between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj.
Basically,
super appropriate.
A little bit of Beyonce, a little bit of Jesus. It always comes out at the right time.
A little bit of Beyonce, a little bit of Jesus.
But anyway,
basically the same thing, if we're being honest. They definitely, there's a connection there.
But it came on again, and I'm like sitting there like visualizing myself like in an arid desert with like a hammer and like a piece of wood, like building a boat. And then it was funny because like I heard it again when I was in California, because I was like scrolling through I do listen to the radio. I don't just listen to Spotify. Because I would never experience music if it wasn't for that. Like, I'd like putting on just random stations. Anyway,
I put on Discover Mixes on Spotify, and that is how I discover new music.
Well, you are AI controlled. I'm, good old fashioned dialed controlled.
I can't handle the commercials. That's why I pay for premium Spotify. I
turn the channel when the commercials come.
Same. I'm like, okay, well, it's time to move from rap to Christian. Okay, it's time to move from Christian to pop.
Yeah.
That's a signal. It's time to change. Anyway, I digress. It was playing when I was in California, and I was like, I finally feel like it's starting to rain. Like, I'm like,
yeah,
the rain is happening. So it's not flooding yet. It's quite yet, but I'm like, it's starting to, like, it's on the horizon.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like in this Noah-esque analogy that your ark is built, or are you still building it?
I feel like it's going to be one of the things that we kind of have the bottom built, and then we have to build while like paddling.
I was going to say our arc, I don't know is ever going to actually be fully, completely built. I think
We're
it's
always
always
going to be adding on.
correct. There's
Right now,
always going to be new improvements. There's always going to be bug fixes. There's always going to be little things that we're going to need to be doing to our arc. So, yeah.
Right now, my analogy is we have a boat, but it's not quite a yacht. But so we just have to build up and out.
It's
Sure.
kind of like that card I keep pulling.
Oh, my little
one I
solitary boat.
Yeah, like the card I've pulled like 10 times in the last 3 days. It looks like that.
So you're leaving land, going off into a dark, dark place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can see something on the horizon, but you don't know what it is. It just looks like it could be better than where you came from, and you have to trust.
I
But
was
you're
talking,
not alone.
I was talking to someone about that. We were talking about the two steps, because he said we were talking about kind of like the two paths in life, and how like sometimes you can see everything like beautifully mapped out and it's super clear and you could see the trajectory. It was, and you could see, when you retire, what it looks like, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the other side of things where you see just the next two steps and you don't see where it goes and you don't see what it could connect to. You don't see any of that. You just see the next two logical steps and darkness.
And none
You
of
know
us
what it could be at the end.
Yeah.
No fucking
And-
clue.
Yeah. And none of us have really spent a lot of our adult lives living that second way. That is not comfortable for me. I like to know.
I mean, I've been on the two-step thing now for better part of 10-ish years.
Not
12
me.
years. It's been a minute.
I will say that I have had glimmers of that in my life.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I'm kind of this like polarized. There's this polarized part of me. Maybe it's in my chart, Jade, where it's like I love to make the calculated decisions and know what's going to come next and take the steps. But then there's also like my glitch, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, woo,
Let's go.
let's just take a risk.
That's why you're
Yeah.
married to a 7.
True.
Yeah.
So true. And he's like, okay, adventure.
If I had to know the next two steps, I wouldn't have left my marriage with $300.
Right.
And my church. No, I wouldn't have done that. So yeah, we've all got the wild in us,
Our glitch.
which is needed.
Although I feel like anymore, I just live in the glitch. I'm like, I don't really know. So
Cass, did you see that when she said I live in the glitch, she glitched? Like the Zoom camera, like literally.
No,
Did
I
it?
didn't see that.
It did.
ooh.
Back the video, you go, I glitched. And like,
And it actually glitched. Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Glitch in the matrix. No, I'm actually too worried about my ear just got louder and there's got to be something. It's got to be connected to something. I know it is. My ear is connected to my head, but
It's absolutely is. It's probably the same reason why my son is vomiting, but not consistently.
that's weird. That's okay. I'm just gonna double down on the D.
double down on the D.
Keep throwing D at it.
Refer back to episode of All About the D's.
Especially because you've been traveling so long, I'm sure you do need to double down on the D.
The Clarendon.
Uh-huh. Wink, wink.
What was the other D's from that episode? It was vitamin D, Claritin D, actual D.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it? Okay.
That was it.
The
That was
trifecta.
all.
That was the trifecta of solutions that Jade generally does.
It's exactly right.
So what are you drawing
Triangle.
over there? It's
A triangle.
Oh,
Jade, you kill me.
Uh,
No, that's it. Those are my 3 solutions. If it's not one, you got to try the other. If it's not that one, you got to go to the other. And if it's not, it's just
back and forth.
and then
Yeah.
if the worst case scenario, you do all 3 at once.
you triple down. You triple D.
I have done that. Requires
I'm not surprised. Of course you have, Jade.
no, it does require a lot of moxie to have sex in the sun, because that means it's daylight wherever you are and you're outside.
Sure.
But I have.
But did you take Claritin before you did it?
Actually, I think for reals, I've had a cold and had sex in the sun. So probably
Yes,
yes.
Jade has tripled down on the D.
Yeah.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
Yeah. I'll tell you the places later if you want to know.
Sure.
Apparently that's not suitable for podcasts.
No.
In case you were wondering where our line ever is, it's there.
But Jade's drawn it. Yep. You
I
can know what
finally-
happened. You do not get to know where.
I finally drew the line. I think it's the first time I've ever done that.
I think it's
Yeah.
been like 100 and something episodes, so I'm glad you finally drew a line.
All the listeners are like, thank God. We really did
don't
not
know where.
No, you know we're gonna get messages of where was it?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Still processing, still connecting all of the dots.
Still building our boat.
Yep,
Although
still-
our boat will probably be almost, at least our dinghy will be ready to hold some passengers here in the next like 2
how many
weeks.
passengers can you put on a dinghy?
We're gonna try and
100.
fit 100 of them. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of beta joiners that are listening to this. So yeah, exciting. Couple weeks. By the time they hear this, probably another week.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening. That's what I keep saying. I'm like,
It's-
something's happening. It's happening. We did it. I don't know what we did, but we did it.
That's been the tagline for like a year now.
Correct.
Don't know what we did, but we did it.
Oh, that's what I was saying back earlier when I forgot the conversation about the great name of Cassandra. It only took
Let's
you-
bring it back full circle.
Let's wrap it with this story. I love it.
it only took 30 minutes to like arrive. Oof. One of the so I was having this conversation with an older man. He is the one who had the daughter's name of Cassandra. And one of the things that for the first time in a while since we've been doing this, it was able to get me out of like the doing mode and into like back into visionary mode of like, oh, we have to go figure this out and we have to get this and we have to get funding and we have to find a CTO and we have to find developers and we have to make sure, whatever, our platform is elastic and we have to make sure we can move the database and
Mhm.
and it like kind of forced me to go back into the zooming out of like why and what and like the visionary perspective of like, okay, this is the intention and energy behind it versus the actual doing.
Which is where you're supposed to be.
Correct. But
Yeah.
that was the point of that conversation.
That's a pretty important point.
That's very important.
It is. Just couldn't remember what the hell it was.
So did you figure out how you stay there though? Because that's the real
I
meat
mean,
and
obviously
potatoes.
touring around the country.
Yeah.
Obviously talking about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how that's probably a longer conversation between the three of us is how I stay at that level.
Mhm.
And what that looks like. And I think the podcast helps. And I think certain touch points that we do help. And I think as we continue to build out the team, that'll help. But there's also like, I need to be external because like it's interesting because like we can have a visionary conversation with you, but it's a different visionary conversation than someone that I'm explaining something to that, the next light bulb comes on to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so the perfect, storm for you is some sort of connection with a human and or a stage and
or both.
explaining something that excites you.
Yep.
That also excites them. That's like your magic potion that keeps you up there.
And that's the event in a nutshell, basically.
It is. That's why you need to do the media tour. And we don't have time to talk about the music producers you met, the intuitive music producer that just started getting downloads for you. Like
I sent you his text message from me to me too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about the special thing on the podcast, right?
Last week I think we did that you're fighting with being special.
Okay, so yeah, you guys, I knew you knew. I just wanted to make sure the listeners were.
I think so.
Cass is special. She's on a fucking another plane. But no, it was really interesting because I mean, he's this guy that I met is top of the top connected to some of the people that are on our Spotify or radios.
Yeah. But also psychic AF.
But very psychic, very intuitive, and was really, really realizing what it is we're doing, connecting me with a bunch of people, but then also sent me a text message, literally a one-liner that says, "You are special." And I'm like,
Make that shit up.
fuck. So, no big deal. So
No big deal.
the affirmation from someone who basically is, top of the affirmation food chain.
And doesn't really know you and doesn't know that story and doesn't know that you need to be reminded of that. That's just, I never get tired of those kinds of stories.
Nope.
Yeah.
More to come.
More to come, always.
Building while floating down the river. It really does work with most of our other analogies too, because I can also just think of Kaylin being a motor.
Exactly.
It does.
You are the boat. So
Strapping
it's like
a big ass motor to a dinghy. One day our dinghy will become a yacht. That's what I'm gonna leave it with. Anything else we want to add to this shit show?
Thinking it's over and the recording's over, so I'm just sitting here. No, I have like a million different thoughts that are moving through my head right now, and I can't start talking about any of them. We have to, yeah.
This is where she ends.